Hello all my fellow movie nerds, my name's Barry King and I am that weird movie nerd. Now before I start, I want to say I've been watching some review channels and after watching a few videos I was like, alright, that's a good bunch of knowledge, I'm glad I watched that. After I watch my videos, I don't get that. I'm like, he just blabbed on and ranted for about 10 minutes about something random, and it gave no good details or anything. So I was like, these aren't really reviews, so I feel sorry for the people who click on them and think, oh, he's going to talk about the movie in depth and all like a filmmaker who knows what he's talking about. No, these aren't that. So instead, I'm going to call these rant reviews. All I do is rant. I don't give off specific details. I just rant about what I loved and what I hated. Randomly. There's no structure to these things. Let the rant begin. Saw 2, 2005 release, a year after Saw 1, which I found was very fast, which is probably why the story in this is so straightforward, not complicated. And this time it's not directed by James Wan, it's directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. And I've got to say, they've improved on everything I had to fault for the last movie. The story, as I said before, was pretty bland, pretty ordinary, it's pretty straightforward. But where this one shines, where the other one doesn't, is characters. It has all these characters and not one of them are extremely hollow. For one, the detective in this is actually fleshed out, really fleshed out. We start the story off with him, he's one of the main characters, and I love that because in the original, the detective had such a cool story, except we saw none of it. None of it. He's like, oh, you killed my partner, who I loved and cherished, although you never saw that, but trust me, he was my best friend, I loved him so much. Okay. I've got to say that the victims aren't as fleshed out as the two guys in Saw, the first one. But they're not completely hollow, because in the first one you had two characters, that's a lot more easier to put backstory to and to give more depth. In this one, all these characters, they had personality. Like there was that one guy who acted as the protagonist for that group of people, so that you felt like there was a threat in that house other than Jigsaw that they had to defeat. And then you had all the other ones, like the kid who was the main character of that scenario. Then you had the girls, like the quiet one, the one who'd been there before, the know-it-all. Then you had the typical screaming girl. Then you had the guy who was caring, kind of. All the characters felt really fleshed out. But see, the one thing in this I didn't like is that Jigsaw is in it and he gets found out, and then this is done. This is the end of the original Jigsaw. I guess is alright for the second movie because they're in the third movies and like the fourth and fifth. They're probably going to have the legacy carry on. But like 2 movies with him, we didn't really get to know him that much. I mean, in this one we knew he had cancer and all that, but like I wish we had one more movie possibly. In this movie we found like a tiny bit more backstory, and then in the third one you can kill him off. It just felt a bit early, to be honest. The one thing from the original that carried over that I didn't like was the editing, how it was really fast-paced in some scenarios. But I will say they have used it better here, because I like when they do that fast cutting when there's pictures being taken of like the body and it shows the damage and like the markings and all that on the body in quick repetition. That was a good use for it. But like when that guy died in the first scene of the movie, how it like quickly cut when like the timer was running out, I guess it can be excused, but I didn't really like that. Yeah, it's still that editing. I love this scenario where they mixed a whole bunch of characters and they got to get out of the house. I really did like that. But by the end of it, the characters were walking into rooms that I'd never seen and that they hadn't discovered. So I was like, did they walk through this whole house and not look through every room to find a possible solution to get out? Because at the end, when that girl went into the room, when she was high on death, let's just say, she went into the room and she put her hand through the box and then it cut all of her wrists and all that, she couldn't get out. They didn't even go in that room, and I was like, oh, what? They didn't explore the whole house? Yeah, it felt like the whole house was, by the end of it, still undiscovered, which was a tad weird. I absolutely love the ending of this one, how everything was pre-recorded and like they weren't watching it in real time and all that. That was a great twist. I love that. And then how the kid was actually behind Jigsaw the entire time in the safe and the father didn't know. That was a great twist. I feel like they didn't execute that really well, and in the moment I was kind of confused. I was like, oh, so they're not looking at the real feed while the SWAT team's in the house, or it's been a non-live video the entire time. But alas, it was a good ending. Last night, before I watched this, my friend kind of spoiled it to me that Amanda was behind it all, but throughout the whole movie I forgot about it, and by the end I was like, oh wait, yeah, he told me that she was the villain of this, and I was like, wow, they hit that really well, and I had no idea. I don't know how it slipped out of my mind, because spoilers always stick whenever I'm watching a movie, but it came completely out of the blue and I loved it. Although the main gripe I had with it was her reasoning wasn't that good. See, what I understand by it was she was saved by Jigsaw and he gave her a second chance, but I don't really see why you would become his minion and the next Jigsaw. Unless it scarred you so dramatically or something. Yeah, I didn't see the reasoning behind it, but I do agree when she said that Jigsaw was becoming more than a person, it was more of a legacy. And that kind of is going to stretch over all the Jigsaw movies, how it's not just going to be one person, it's going to be heaps of them. So, I love that. Oh, throughout the whole thing, the cop, Eric Matthews, I think his name is, I was like, damn, he reminds me so much of Mark Wahlberg. And then after, when I was looking at the crew of the film, I was like, Donnie Wahlberg, is that Mark Wahlberg's brother? And it was. That's why he looks so much like Mark Wahlberg. I love the finale of this, not just because of the twist or because of Amanda being the new Jigsaw, but because they actually finished it, kind of. They did leave it on a cliffhanger, but they concluded the whole story. They concluded the whole mystery of how they were going to get saved. And although it was kind of a cliffhanger how the cop was captured and Annabelle got away, it finished the whole thing and it said, hey, there's more to come. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine if there's more to come, but you gotta lock off everything in that movie and be like, okay, we're finished here. You don't need to know any more information, but come to the next movie, we'll give you some information of these characters, but they were pretty much concluded in this package here. It's like a DLC. If you want more, come for more. But this one's the final product. Come over here if you want to get some more. So I love that. That's my thought on Saw 2. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 because I did like it a bit more than the first one. Although I did like the first one, but this one felt a bit more complete than the first one. It had like a lot of things changed, a lot of things fixed, and I appreciate the filmmakers, the writers, whoever, for doing that. So thank you all for watching. If you disagreed with anything I said, comment it below. I love ranting about movies, even if I'm wrong. I love figuring out new ways of thinking about how it works and how everything connected. Just do it. Argue with me. If you have any other movies you want me to watch, comment it below and I'll add it to my very long watch list and I'll get around to it 1 year, 1 decade, 1 century. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching and I'll see you guys in the next review.